Hi, and welcome to This Is My Architecture Live. We are live at reInvent in Las Vegas, and I am here with Eli from Trade Desk. Thanks for joining me, Eli.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So tell us about Trade Desk. What do you do?
So Trade Desk is a software company. We have a SaaS platform that's responsible for a lot of the ads you see on connected radio, internet, and TV. We do about 10 million messages a second from around the world, but from 7 data centers, 3 of which are in AWS in Germany, Tokyo, and Singapore.
Okay, yeah, ad tech is a really exciting space for the cloud and for AWS. So what about your solution is the most unique, or what do you think is the biggest enabler for you for the cloud in terms of moving things to the cloud?
So for a long time, we thought that moving to the cloud was both technically and financially impossible, at least at our scale.
Okay.
This was attempted many years ago when the company first started, and we ended up moving to physical just due to the latency requirements and capacity that we needed. Recently, being the beginning of this year, we were able to find a solution. Working closely with our account team, we found a product that was recently launched called Amazon Global Accelerator, AGA. And it's not designed to be a load balancer, but we found it very helpful to use it as a load balancer.
Okay, so when you say like scale, you said 10 million messages a second, but I know low latency is super important in your business. When you say that though, what does that actually mean? You know, what kind of latency?
So we respond to requests within 1/10 of a second, about 10 milliseconds.
Okay.
And we do that ranging from 1 million times a second to 3 million times, depending on the data center that we're talking about.
Okay, so you said you're operating in 3 sites. I imagine that means 3 regions of AWS, or?
Yes.
Okay, great. So let's dig into the architecture then. So you mentioned Global Accelerator as being kind of a key enabler, and you're kind of using it like a load balancer. Is that right?
Yeah. So if you don't know Global Accelerator, it's the feature was designed for pop-to-pop acceleration over Amazon's backbone, like VPC peering. So if someone's sending from Virginia to Singapore, instead of going out over the internet 20 hops, it'll just go over VPC peering. It's faster, reliable, and Amazon supported. It also has an Anycast feature. So Anycast is one IP with multiple targets. This is great for us because a lot of our clients will cherry pick maybe IPs from our DNS records and send all their traffic to one IP, and then it tips over that load balancer assigned to that IP.
It makes it really hard to spread things out, right? So,
right.
Yeah.
So with AGA, we have 2 IPs for HA, and they all go to the same target group that's evenly weighted.
Okay, so you started Global Accelerator, you started using Anycast, static IPs that allow you to sort of flow traffic to different sites. So when you say that, I see we have ALB, Global Accelerator. Walk me through this. What's actually running on this, and how are you routing the traffic?
Sure, so when we moved to the cloud, we forklifted our system. It wasn't designed to be a microservice in containers.
Okay.
So we run EC2 instances that are equivalent to our physical instances, and optimized for the cloud.
And those are running, what type of software, what is it written in?
So we are primarily a .NET shop.
Okay.
We have a lot of C#. All our bidders, our front ends, are actually .NET applications, primarily written in C# right now.
Okay, so a request comes in, it hits your bidder, it hits the Global Accelerator, and then Global Accelerator routes it to the bidders running on EC2, is that right?
That's right, so we have 2 IPs out here in a DNS record. All the messaging traffic, our bid requests hit that IP. It'll get distributed to Global Accelerator. This is a layer 4 appliance in the back end, AWS Magic, and it'll hit one of our bidders. The bidder's then going to respond back out with a bid request, and either that person wins or loses the bid. An ad gets displayed or it doesn't.
And that, when Global Accelerator is going to EC2, that implies multiple regions, multiple sites, that is, it's acting as a load balancer across multiple sites?
Correct, so we have 1 Global Accelerator for each site right now.
Yeah.
Global Accelerator can support multiple instances, but it can't currently route to the correct instance. So our Tokyo Global Accelerator goes to all our Tokyo instances.
Okay, great. I see you have some other components up here too, though. You have a database, you have S3. Tell us more about this part of the architecture.
Sure. So historically, Aerospike, which is an in-memory, low latency, high volume type of database.
So you're running Aerospike here?
Right.
Okay.
So this is Aerospike. We've needed these big 2U boxes stuffed with NVMe drives for low latency.
And this is running on EC2?
Yes, this is now running on EC2.
Okay.
And the big advantage is instead of wheeling in a rack when we need to add capacity, we just go and spin up a few EC2 instances. So it's scaling much faster than we could in our physical data centers.
So what's actually in the Aerospike database?
So when someone sends a bid request in, it's for a targeted advertisement. So maybe you live within 10 miles of this restaurant. We need to know, using non-identifiable personal information, if you meet that criteria. So this database has that information.
So this bidder here, EC2, is talking to the Aerospike database?
Right, and no one wants to wait for a load to add, so an ad to load, so this needs to respond very quickly.
Yeah, hence the in-memory, very fast responses, low latency.
Right.
What happens if you don't meet your latency targets or your SLA?
The bid gets dropped and we don't have the business.
Okay, so it's really important that you have low latency because otherwise you lose the bid.
Yeah, that 100 millisecond line is pretty hard.
Okay, you also have S3 over here. What's going on there?
So the other big database we run that stores petabytes of information in AWS is based out of US East 1, and it's backed by S3. So it's called Vertica, and that's our long-term storage database.
Okay, so Vertica backed by S3, that's a new feature, right?
Yeah, it's Vertica Eon. It recently came out, and it's great because when we need to add capacity, we don't need to add drives. We just add a new bucket, and we get instant storage.
Okay, well cool. So you have Vertica on S3 holding petabytes of data, you said. You have a very low latency in-memory database, Aerospike running on EC2. You have your bidders, .NET applications on EC2, auto-scaling, I imagine, yeah?
Of course.
And then you're using Global Accelerator effectively as a way to share your load across and act as a load balancer and while keeping latencies low and operating across multiple regions, right?
Exactly.
It's a really elegant architecture. Thanks for sharing it with us.
Well, thank you.
And thanks for watching. This is My Architecture Live.